Whoa. Straighten up, cowboy. Oh, shit. The nerve. Hey, what's up, good people? I'm Rocky. And I have given myself a task to put together a quarantine playlist. I have separated the movies that I've selected by decade and by genre, okay? So, I'm starting in the 90s. I may work my way back to the 70s and 80s or 80s, then to the 70s, but I'm not sure yet. But I know for sure I'm starting in the 90s, okay? So the first genre is dark sci-fi action with a hint of comedy. Because some of the films are funny, but they still have that like dark grittiness to them and that griminess to them. So I kind of had to add them to the list, you know what I'm saying? Like there was no other place for them to go. They had to go on the list. So I didn't have to go into my thinking chamber to try to figure out what to make for this playlist and put together for the playlist. Like these are movies that I like. And they're good movies, and I know other people are going to like them as well. There are movies that you probably have seen on this list, but there are also movies that you may have not seen. And now, if you've seen all the movies on my list, okay, I'm going to need you to reach out, because I put some on there that are kind of a little wacky, so that means we got a couple things in common, and I want to know who you are, and I want to know what other recommendations you may have that I haven't seen. Hopefully there's something on this list that you haven't seen, and the next one will be the comedy. Then after that, I may do general type action, fantasy, and so on and so forth. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoy. Bye. The Crow is a 1994 cult film about a man that was brought back from the dead to avenge the murder of his fiancée. The movie was actually inspired by a comic that was written by James Barr, who used this as a means of coping with the loss of his wife. This movie stars Brandon Lee, who is the son of the legendary Bruce Lee and has been pegged as one of Hollywood's most cursed movies. Now, I don't completely agree with that. I think it was definitely a play behind the scenes that was going on, and some people may say that leans towards conspiracy, but that's just a whole nother video. However, this movie did have a lot of wacky shit that occurred pre and post-production. Brandon was fatally shot on set. It was 7 to 8 days prior to wrap, depending on what source you read, and it's truly unfortunate. When the directors were selecting candidates, they chose to go with Brandon because of his athletic ability to be able to pull off most of his own stunts, as well as his acting skills, but mainly because he could pull off his own stunts. And he was really leery of the ones with special effects, and his intuition was actually right because clearly he's no longer here with us. If it weren't for his tragic passing, I feel that this would have been the breakout role that would have catapulted his career, and he would have been on the trajectory that his father was on, although that was halted as well on some BS. Brandon was also being considered for bigger Hollywood roles such as Neo from Matrix, and he was actually supposed to finish this movie, go to Mexico, marry his wife, and then come back and discuss the script with the Wachowski brothers, who are now sisters, but we didn't get a chance to see how that played out. I'm actually going to make a separate video about Brandon Lee because there's so many things to touch on. He's definitely worth that. So segueing on into The Matrix from The Crow, I might as well go ahead and knock this one out. Now, The Matrix doesn't need much of an introduction, but believe it or not, some people still haven't seen this movie. Wow. The first one came out in 1999. And the Wachowskis that did the whole switcheroo from girl to guy or guy to girl thing, they were the directors of the first one. So regardless of whatever the fuck shit they pulled, they did do a good job directing the movie, and also if it was their work or not. That's a whole nother discussion. But interesting tidbits of information. So, Chad Stahelski is one of the top stunt coordinators in Hollywood, and he was Keanu's stunt double in the first Matrix. Now, going back to The Crow, again, Chad and Brandon had a pretty good relationship from working at this martial arts gym they trained at together. He was Brandon's stunt double, and then when Brandon passed, he stepped in to finish out the movie and bring it to completion. Chad is still working in Hollywood, and he is the current solo director of the 2 John Wick sequels. The movie is Coneheads. Now, the trailer that was available for Coneheads kind of sucked, and it didn't make sense to add it because it wouldn't have showed you what the movie was about, but it was made in 1993. Dan Aykroyd had his hands in it, and there were a couple cameos like Adam Sandler and Sinbad. But I did add this clip just to show you how relevant they are and how dope they were to actually be in a commercial for State Farm. So check this out.
Correct, I have a life mate.
Is that consequential?
With whom are you communicating?
Jake from Planet State Farm.
Jake from Planet State Farm at 0300 hours.
State your identity.
It is Jake from Planet State Farm, home of Discount Double Check.
Describe your apparel, Jake from Planet State Farm.
Khakis.
Khakis. Explain.
A dull earthly garment covering male extremities.
Sounds most appropriate.
Got nothing but trouble. All right, so this isn't the official movie art for Nothing But Trouble, but I wanted to take a moment to highlight this artist from Peru. His name is Boris Valiello. He's actually really dope and worth looking into. He does a lot of paintings, primarily in the fantasy, comic, erotica space. You should definitely check him out. Now, this is the original cover art, and this movie was made in 1991. And it's another movie that Dan Aykroyd had his hands in, as he directed and he also wrote it. So it's pretty wacky, if not wackier than Coneheads, and it's cringy as fuck because you'll see, but not necessarily in this clip that I'm about to show you. But I'm showing you this clip because I feel it was dope that he included Digital Underground, in his movie and gave them a platform when he really didn't have to do that, particularly at this time. So it's cool. You'll actually see Tupac in this scene as well. And I'm not a diehard fan of any of these agents running out in the industry, but if you a so-called Pac fan and you didn't know he was in this movie, you just need to go ahead and hang it up because you're not legit.
Yep. You sure are a gaggling musician, sure enough.
The Craft. The Craft came out in 1996, and it's a movie about a newcomer at a Catholic prep school who gets chummy with a trio of outcast teenagers who pursue witchcraft for their own gain, but soon counter negative repercussions for their actions. So, the movie stars Neve Campbell, Perusa Bulk, who has a really unique beauty, and then you got Rachel True, who's this unaging goddess. So it's always good to see her face, and she literally looks damn near the same. She was actually 30 when she was in this movie portraying a damn high schooler. Insane. But yeah, Perusa actually was very convincing in the role. She actually owned a cult shop, and she was really well versed with the quote-unquote craft, or occult knowledge rather, and she shared a lot of insight while she was on film. But she spoke up particularly about this shoot at a beach that they did. She said we probably shouldn't be shooting on this beach because it doesn't like unnatural disturbances and whatnot. Of course, production didn't listen. They wanted to push through, and a whole bunch of crazy shit happened and popped off on set. They're making a remake of this movie. I'm not looking forward to it because so far the cast that they have lined up sucks. So I think it's actually going to blow. Good thing is they're using Blumhouse, and they make a lot of the horror movies, so they're a pretty good production company in that sense. So they should definitely bring the visuals, and hopefully they bring a better soundtrack because the original soundtrack for The Craft was absolute trash. But we'll see what happens with that, because the movie's not really being made for the old cool cats. It's actually being made for all these new boppers. So yeah, this is what you saw in the thumbnail. Do you guys know what this is? This is a laser disc. You're like, what is a laser disc? Okay, listen. Before DVDs, before Blu-rays, after VHSs, and all that stuff that you guys are familiar with that is damn near obsolete now, came this guy. A legit disc, okay? With some weight to it. Okay, so basically the movie's on this disc. One side of the movie is on one side of the disc, and then you had to flip it over to watch the rest of the movie. And these were expensive. These weren't cheap. Shoot, and I kept them. We kept them. Family kept them, I need to see how much these cost now. It was a really cool thing, and I'm grateful to even be able to have had this because a lot of people didn't have this in their households. If you didn't know what a laser disc was, I hope I definitely schooled you on a laser disc and what it was. It was a big, heavy disc. that had movies on it, that was expensive, that was after VHSs. Mars Attacks came out in 1996 and it was directed by Tim Burton. Like this, clearly you can see what's going on. You had these Martians that came to Earth and they just came and started fucking everything up. Like everything up. Like the stupid humans were like, hey, maybe they came in peace. But no, they didn't come in peace. They came to jack shit up, which is what they're doing. Like right now they're defacing the monument. You know, and hell, many other monuments have been defaced in the past. So go ahead, do what you do. I'll rock with it. But the movie actually had a lot of popular Hollywood actors in it. Like, I mean, hell, you had the Joker. Clearly, that was like Jack Nicholson. And he killed that role, so, you know, I ain't go front. You had Jack Nicholson, who's the Joker. You had Padme from Star Wars, Cruella DeVille. You had the Penguin. I cannot think of his name, but he was in Matilda, the shorter guy. Then you had one of the James Bonds. You had Marty McFly. Hell, you had Pam Grier, Martin Short, Ray J. I mean, it was a movie full of cameos. Really funny. Dusk Till Dawn came out in 1996, and it was a Quentin Tarantino movie, so if you're familiar with any of his movies, you know how he do. He's pretty wild. So yeah, this movie's about these guys. They're on the run because they robbed a bank, and they knocked off several police officers on the way, and they had to hightail it to Mexico. So they're like hiding out in this topless bar in Mexico, and they kidnapped like the people that they kidnapped. They got those people stuck with them. But yeah, the movie was alright. I mean, I just really liked the fighting scene, or when it really popped off with these vampires at this bar. Like at the time, it was really graphic and cool. But you know, now we got The Walking Dead out, so it really is like no comparison. Walking Dead definitely took it there, but this was cool for the time, you know what I'm saying? And I had to add it to the list because when I saw this, I was younger and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I probably shouldn't have seen it at the age that I saw that, but yeah, I wasn't really able to totally grasp, but I was still interested at the same time. So yeah, you know, I had to add it to the list. It was funny. It was pretty cool. The Fifth Element came out in 97. This movie was awesome. I've probably seen it like 100 times and it never gets old. Like, it was just a crazy mashup of cyberpunk, space, opera, the costuming, the color contrast, special effects. Like, it was just overall dope, y'all. Like, Bruce Willis is in it, Mr. Die Hard. You have Miss Resident Evil, Mila Jovovich. Yeah, Chris Tucker. He played an awesome role. He nailed his role. Like, he had this flamboyant role. It was either going to be him, Prince, or Lenny Kravitz. But he nailed the role. Hopefully, he didn't have to get nailed to get it. But he murked it. And Gary Oldman was in it as well. So it was just an overall good-ass movie. Particularly, like I said, in the 90s.
They're not here.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer came out in 1992. Now, there was a movie and there was a TV show, but the two are totally different and they were made for completely different markets. Like, the movie was more so of a satire, funny production, and then the TV show had that more darker tone that it was initially slated for. I personally didn't watch the series because in the 90s, they kept plastering these quote-unquote heartthrobs everywhere, and I was tired of seeing Sarah Michelle Gellar's face and hear her name. That's the only reason why I know her name now, is because they kept saying, oh, this person, that person, that person. So I never watched the show. People have said it was good, you know what I'm saying? I may go back and watch it one day, but yeah. Speaking of the show, Chad Stahelski has something to do with it as well. So this guy's just like everywhere. So that's Christy Swanson. Luke Perry's in it as well. That's actually Pee Wee Herman, aka Paul Rubin. So I don't even know how they were able to keep their composure on set. I did read in some blogs that he's a complete nut, and they had, they broke character several times. Like, if I was on set, they would have asked me to leave. But it was a funny movie. It's totally different from what you're expecting. Total Recall came out in 1990, and it stars good old Arnold and Sharon Stone. So in the movie, Douglas Quaid is a bored construction worker, and the year is 2084. He always dreamed of visiting Mars, so he checks out this company called Recall that plants false memories into people's brains in order for them to experience like that thrill of Mars without actually having to travel there. But something gets jacked up during the procedure, and he discovers that his entire life is just a false memory. And all the people involved with the implants, they all want him dead, knocked off the map. So he's in, rebel mode, trying to figure shit out, and he's just trying to survive at this point. So it was good. They have made a remake since. I have not seen the new one, but the first one was good, so I guess it'll be worth watching the second one to check it out. But that's Total Recall. As the saying goes, if it's not one thing, it's another. We go from fooling with technology that jacks us up to playing God and experimenting with genetics. So that's what they did in this movie, messing around with prehistoric DNA of quote-unquote dinosaurs. This movie is about these paleontologists and this mathematician who are among a select group of people that are chosen to tour an island theme park populated by dinosaurs. While the park's mastermind, this is the billionaire guy, he assures everyone that the facility is safe. They find out otherwise when ferocious predators break free and go on the hunt. So, this was a good movie when it first came out. Like, there are other, of course, the other Jurassic Parks have come out and whatnot, but this was the first one to, really set that foundation. And they did a good job giving you a visual. Because other than, the fossils that we've seen, we haven't been able to see these with our real eyes, amongst other, type of beings that have existed. But they did a good job giving you a visual of it. And this was a movie by Steven Spielberg. He directed this movie. So, it was good. And now it's telling you all the other movies he's done. He's done Jaws, Close Encounters of a Third Kind, Raiders Ark, E.T., I don't know why The Color Purple was listed. Has nothing to do with this, but, guess they just wanted to throw that in there. Color Purple. Maybe because there were no black people in the movie. Oh, Samuel Jackson was in the movie for a quick little second, but that's Jurassic Park. Alright, cool cats. This concludes my Dark Action Sci-Fi list, and it's time for me to hit the road. Alright, if you made it to the end, go ahead and like it up and give me a sub. My next video will be another genre. Until then, y'all take care. Be safe in these streets. Later.